So we haven't seen you since the Donald Trump roast?
Oh, yeah.
And you've been sick ever since with the ass flu?
Dude, yeah.
I think you got sick from the ass.
The ass flu.
I didn't.
I think the ass munching, that's making a huge comeback we learned last week on the radio show. I think that might have got you a little sick.
Nah, baby, I wish it was that, but it really is just my just a silly sore throat. Because, I mean, look, it'd be other times for ass. That was just, I mean, I was in there for a couple of seconds.
That's all it takes.
Those
germs? That's all it takes.
You know, there's been times where I've laid on my back, like, say, like a Kansas field, and... You ever see when a nuclear missile is launched out of a Kansas field?
Right, that silo opens up and out of nowhere. Here it comes
that missile. Well, picture if the missile just stopped for a few minutes and stood straight up out of that Kansas field. I've laid on my bathroom floor with plastic under my head. If that didn't get me sick, eating this ass, please. I laugh at this ass.
Something got you sick. Could have been that.
An ant. You were both very miserably
I don't remember him eating my ass.
I didn't, but I did lick the ball when you get up.
Maybe it was that fine food at the Donald Trump roast.
That was great. That shindig. That was. Hey, Vos, thanks a lot for the seats. Oswald was closer to Kennedy than that asshole got us to the podium.
Yeah, we were feeling like big shots. I guess we should get into this. Did we even tell people Friday we were going to the Donald Trump roast?
No, I wasn't even going to go because I assumed you had to have the suit and tie thing going.
Yeah.
And I didn't have one.
Well, our pal Richard Vos thinks he's a big shot these days, and he got invited to roast Donald Trump with a bunch of other comedians. How did he get on the dais? Did you see who else was up there? How did he get up on the dais?
There were about 50 people on the dais.
Well, the main question I had with Voski on is because he's not technically a friar. And I mean, there's some great New York friar comedians. I think it's because he's been doing great, and he's been on NBC, and Zucker was one of the roasters. So
I'm very surprised at who there are that are friars. When they're announcing on the dais, and it's like, and we introduce Friar Kitey Tong.
Yeah.
It's like, what is newswoman Kitey Tong
David
doing
Dinkins.
as a friar?
He wasn't there, but he's a friar.
Oh, really?
David Dinkins is a friar?
Yeah.
The washroom attendant.
So Vos is like, making sure that we're going to the Donald Trump roast because it's like $500 a plate, which we didn't have to pay because I wouldn't have paid $500
$500
for that.
Absolutely
and
not.
And
I
that
got
lunch.
the ticket. We get free ticket from Vos.
So we get into our nice little clothes because you got to look nice for these roasts.
I was wearing a button shirt. That was pretty much it. And jeans.
I knew we were in trouble when they said you guys are sitting upstairs.
Yeah.
And you're seeing everyone else go in the main door and like, oh, your tickets, you're upstairs.
Go, oh, you take the elevator. And I'm like, elevator? Oh, that's never good.
There's no elevator around here.
No. Up into the balcony.
It was kind of like a service elevator or something to get to our seats, right? And then we're like, well, at least we're going to be right in the middle, in the balcony so we can look down and it'll be a nice view.
No. It was blocked by a big screen TV and a follow spot.
Right.
Great.
We were pretty much behind the big screen TV that all the people looked up at that had the really bad seats on the floor. So they had bad seats, so the only way they could see the stage is to turn around and see the big screen. Well, we were behind that big screen.
Behind the big screen. Unbelievable. And I couldn't even get Conchita to bring me a drink. Were there any drinks there?
That awful unwashed staff at that hotel.
Horrible.
They wanted to charge for like certain drinks. Like they gave you a water or whatever, but for Cokes were like $5. Well, come on, man, it's $500 a plate.
Pay less attention to your daughter's pornographic videotapes and get some wait staff at your hotels. So Jesus Christ.
It was a mediocre roast at best, and everyone had to make fun of Donald Trump's hair because that's the thing to do.
The hair. Regis was the roast master.
Right.
He was the host. This guy is awful. Awful, Gelman. He couldn't string together two funny words.
Ever.
No, he's introducing people. He has no clue who they are, and they were ancient people. His comebacks, he was horrible. Awful.
Yeah.
Stewie Stone was great. I know who he is. He's a legendary Friars comedian, but I never really watched him work. The first guy.
The first guy killed, and then no one could really follow that.
Susie Essman killed right after him.
Susie Essman, she was good too. That's right. You're right.
And,
but it just kept going downhill after that.
Yeah. All right. Well, then Anthony and I had the pleasure of following Cheryl Teagues' ass out of the place.
Oh, Cheryl Teagues was there. Is she a friar?
I got a picture of her, yeah, I know.
Everyone remembers Cheryl Teagues. She was that hot Sports Illustrated model back in probably, the late 70s, I guess?
Late 70s, yeah. She had that poster that was like the poster to have.
Didn't she have the fishnet? She had the fishnet bathing suit for the Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, it wasn't even like a top. You could see her tits right through.
Let me tell you, that time is a bitch, and you wouldn't want to see her in any type of fishnet wear. whatsoever.
We walk out of the roast, and she is. We're walking down. I guess it was 6th Avenue, and she's in front of us.
Right. Anthony and I are laughing so hard because we're just following Cheryl Tiegs' ass because she had to wear high heels. She's already a tall lady. So
she's got some guy holding her arm to help her walk in her high heels.
That would be the sugar daddy.
Yeah. Well, I think it was like her people.
Oh, really?
Like, I don't think it was a sugar daddy. I think it was somebody to help her.
They looked like they were kind of dating or something. That guy was really old.
You don't want her snapping a hip trying to walk on those heels.
So her ass was pretty much eye level, because she's tall with the high heels.
Mm-hmm.
It was the worst ass I've ever seen in my
Horrible.
life.
Now, she had the most pert little ass back in the day, back in the olden days. Oh, and this thing was like flat, sagging, and had that spread coming out the side. You know? Okay, here you go. At home, do this. Hold up your hands. So in front of your face,
like
so your palms face each other.
Yeah, there you go.
At a distance of about a foot. Okay?
And make it at the distance of a nice ass.
A nice ass. Now curve your hands, curve them into a nice round ass, okay?
All right, that looks
now
nice.
That's what a nice round ass would look like from looking from behind.
Okay, I'm with you.
Now all of a sudden, straighten your fingers out and bend only at your knuckles, but that are closest to your palm. Now bend, so it's like an angle. That's what happens. Are you doing this at home? That's what happens to the ass. They get the points. They get points that stick out to the side. It goes from round, see, round, to the points. She had the points going. And the flab, you could see she was wearing very tight black pants, which show every little ripple.
And she had pancake batter on for makeup.
Yeah. And her ass through the black pants looked like a golf ball, the surface of a golf ball.
Yeah, it wasn't happening.
It was not, and it's awful because she was hot.
And then I like, oh, isn't this time a bitch?
And then we're looking at Cheryl Tiegs' ass, Opie.
Finally.
It's a couple of feet away from us, and this is the Cheryl Tiegs' ass.
Why couldn't we see the Cheryl Tiegs' ass of the late 70s, or even I would even accept the late 80s?
Late 80s, maybe mid 80s.
Don't want to see the Cheryl Tiegs' ass of 2004.
Not
and then some just
average girl.
Average girl is at lunch or whatever.
She bent over on one of the fountains to tie her foot up to tie her shoe. And all of a sudden, me and Opie remove our eyes from Cheryl Tiegs' ass to look at this average woman's ass as she's bent over tying her shoe.
And the average woman's ass blew Cheryl Tiegs' ass away.
This woman can say, I have a better ass than Cheryl Tiegs. Circa 2004.
Sure.
Not the Cheryl Tiegs of 1980.
It was
time
awful.
Stinks.
Hey, Seth, what's going on?
Hey, guys, how are you?
Hey, good.
That roast was atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. I was there on Friday.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, the highlight, though, was my wife met little Jimmy outside right before you guys walked in. You all three walked in together.
All right.
Said she was a fan. Jimmy stopped.
Oh, thanks,
Shook her hand, and said, oh, wow, I appreciate that, and then walked in. She looked down and went, and ran to the bathroom and had to wash herself.
I don't blame her, sir.
Some of those comics were just horrific, and they're legends. They're legendary.
Norm Crosby, good example.
Oh my God!
I swear to God,
Norm Crosby.
I didn't know it was a comedian. I swear to God, I thought it was a guy from Crosby, Stills and Nash.
It would have been funnier. It would have been funnier.
You must have really had a fever then.
When he walked up, I realized it was a comic. But no, the name Norm Crosby, I just didn't recognize the name.
When you go to a roast, you could tell a lot of people, like Jeffrey Ross is great at roast, and he ate it. He ate it.
I didn't think he ate it. I thought he had some jokes that didn't hit.
I think he went on too late.
Maybe, yeah.
I think if he would have went on earlier.
I think the audience was too busy looking at themselves in mirrors and stuff. That wasn't a good...
Artie Lang did a great job.
Yeah, Artie Lang definitely did
You could tell he wrote on the fly. As things were happening, he was writing material. He went up there, it was like...
Well, he's now Foster Brooks, but he did a good job.
Foster Brooks.
He had to act like he was completely hammered between every joke. But,
right.
But it worked for him, so...
I think he was hammered.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
But Norm Crosby was absolutely awful.
Gets up there, and he's at a roast, so you're supposed to roast, but he's just got these old jokes, and he's using Donald Trump to seg into these ancient jokes. He get up there, and he's got the hearing, speech impediment because of his hearing. He can't hear.
So he's got that. But he's like, Donald Trump, you know, Donald Trump gives a lot of money to charity, and he builds a lot of hospitals. And, you know, speaking of hospitals, a guy walks into a doctor's office and says, Doc, give me the bad news. Doctor replies, you have AIDS. What could be worse than that, the patient asks. You've also got Alzheimer's disease. Looking relieved, the patient says, oh, well, that's not so bad. At least I don't have AIDS. You know, but Donald Trump, he's great. He hires a lot of people, and he's got secretaries. Mr. Johnson and his secretary are on a train to Paris. They're just about to go to sleep when the secretary said, who's got the hospital boss, says in a seductive voice, I'm a little cold. Could I borrow your blanket? Well, the man says, how would you like to be Mrs. Johnson for a while? The secretary jumps at the chance and begins to get out of bed. Then he replies, good, then you could get your own damn blanket. Because Donald Trump's got a secretary.
That's exactly what Norm Crosby was doing.
He just kept doing this over and over. These hack old jokes and just using the Donald as like a segue. Unbelievable.
Donald Trump sure gets married a lot, doesn't he? He had brides and grooms. You know, he's been married. A young couple gets married, and the groom asks if the bride... if he could have a dresser drawer of his own that she'll never open. The bride agrees. After 30 years of marriage, she notices the drawer has been left open. She peeks inside and sees 3 golf balls and $1,000. She confronts her husband and asks for an explanation. He explains, every time I was unfaithful to you, I put a golf ball in the drawer. She figures 3 times in 30 years isn't bad until, and asks, but what about the $1,000? He replied, whenever I get a dozen balls, I sold them. And the Donald likes to play golf.
That's exactly how it went down.
It was the worst.
All right. Well, we're just getting warmed up. We got lots to do today.
Voss didn't do too bad.
He started off slow. I'll tell you why. Because, you know, Regis gave him a bad intro, which was kind of a joke.
Who is this guy?
Yeah. The next act is, who is... Yeah, exactly. But Regis was eating his stupid balls the entire roast. He was bombing the entire roast.
And he was all uncomfortable when everyone would use dirty language. There was a lot of dirty language at the roast.
Filthy.
And he was all, you know, he'd get up there, well, a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, and so Vos started slow, and then really, you know, so they quoted Vos in the Times, they quoted him in the Post.
Did they?
Yeah. The line about Trump always puts his name on the building so the bank knows which ones to take back. That line destroyed.
Oh, there you go.
He had some really funny lines.
There you go. He so doesn't deserve that girlfriend he's got.
Oh, she's hot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bonnie's really hot.
And she's like a nice girl, too.
Yeah.
And I was staring at her tits the whole time. I know she called me at least 5 or 6 times. I feel like a dirtbag.
Well, she was wearing a top where that was kind of hard.
And stuff, but it was really hard not to look at her tits.
Like if she talked to you and you make eye contact in your peripheral, you would see cleavage. And, you know, as I was talking to her, I wouldn't look down. But then when she looked away, you kind of got to take a peek.
You got to take a peek.
Dude,
she doesn't... How does she deserve Vos? What wrong did she do in life that a nice girl like that deserves a rich Vos who's showing pictures of his cock to people on the street?
Yeah, he really does walk around with that Levitra rod picture.
Oh, and he's got a picture. And the picture isn't even... What is that? What kind of camera is that out of?
It's like one of those mini Polaroids.
It's like what people use to take pictures of dead bodies on the ground, like the investigators use.